Alright, SIDREP, this is the first fuel stop. I'm not going to film every fuel stop, but just to let everyone know that things are going pretty well. I'm sitting on about 95 k's an hour. Don't want to push it too much. I sat on 105 to 110 for a bit, and the wind is pretty brutal at that speed, so it's better just to sit back and enjoy the journey rather than try to get there too quickly. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Bit of numb bum creeping in. Lower back's a little bit sore. Nothing unexpected though. So just gonna have a short break here and then move on to the next one. Alright, SIDREP number 2. Second fuel stop. Stopped at Coolgardie, which is in the heart of the goldfields in Western Australia. I think I've done roughly 550 kilometres. It's quite a quaint little town. Stopped here under a gazebo. Plenty of bird life and the like. So I'll stay here just for another few minutes, have a drink, cool off, and get back on the road. But I did I broke my fueling strategy. I was supposed to stop about 130 k's ago, but with the speed I've been doing, under 100 kilometres an hour, it's proven to be very economical. So I managed to squeeze 300 kilometres out of that tank, which was a bit of a stretch. It had only half a litre left when I filled up. But I am carrying an extra 2 litres just in case, so I wouldn't want to do more than 300 kilometres. And I certainly wouldn't want to be speeding. Alright, catch you at my final destination, which is about 170 kilometres away. Alright, it's about 5:30 and I've just arrived in Norseman at the planned end of day 1. Reasonable little caravan park here, $20 a night. We're going to be hitting that shower block pretty soon. I'm yet to pitch my tent up here. Got a bit of shade cloth to put it up on. Bit of a brick under the bike to stop it from burying itself in the sand and tipping over. Yeah, it's quite a reasonable little place. A few friendly little bush flies. You'd expect that here. And next door is where the food is at. And when you check in, they give you the menu. Haven't even looked at it yet. I'm pretty hungry, I haven't eaten all day. Check it out. Got a schnitzel from Palmy. Oh, braised Asian pork belly, lamb shank, Scotch fillet. I think I'm going to demolish a Scotch fillet. Awesome. Opens at 6. Gives me half an hour to put the tent up and get showered and then get going. We'll resume tomorrow, folks. Take it easy. Well, viewers, it's the middle of the night in Norseman. We've got a 6-cylinder engine just revving its tits off. It didn't last long. Here we go again. Is it a Ford? Is it a Holden? Is it a Toyota? Is it a Nissan? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Okay, it's day 2. Let me just do a quick recap. So left Perth and headed east. First fuel stop was here at Merredin, and that's roughly 240 kilometres. Then I decided to skip the stop at Yellowdine and went all the way through to Coolgardie, 294 kilometres, and arrived there with half a litre of fuel left, plus the 2 litres that I carry, so there's no risk there. What I would recommend if you're ever doing this track is keep it really slow. The 200 kilometres before Coolgardie, the road is absolutely horrendous. I set the cruise control and just picked a line between, undulations, deep ruts, that type of thing in the bitumen road. And then coming down here to Norseman, where we are today, approximately that section there was completely roadworks, so that was an off-road section. So this is the campsite. I'm almost finished packing up. Last night was somewhat entertaining. You'll have seen what happened in the middle of the night, but there was one after that, and that was about 2 in the morning. This screaming from one of the locals. It was a female, and there were 2 females just absolutely screaming at each other at the top of their lungs. They were crying blue murder. So that broke the night's sleep a little bit. General mood, pretty good. Yesterday the first half was quite tough. I'm not as bike fit as I'd want to be, and I started getting, groin strain and bit of back pain. But after the fuel stop, things started getting better, and by the time I arrived here, I was a bit tired, but otherwise pretty good. So today, I'll take you back to the map. Today we're going through to Eucla, which is on the WA border. So it's from here at Norseman all the way through to the border there. Now the challenge for today will be the prevailing weather. So it's overcast, which is okay, but there's a strong east to southeasterly wind blowing today at 25 to 35 kilometres per hour. Yeah, so if I've got the cruise control set at 95, I'm effectively doing 130 k's an hour of headwind, but not as much speed over the ground, unfortunately. So that's it for now. I'll catch up with you later on, probably at the next fuel stop at Balladonia. Overcast today. A bit chilly, 17.5 degrees. I'm wearing practically nothing because it was pretty hot yesterday. So literally wearing a singlet / vest under my mesh riding gear. So I'm not sure if the camera picks this up, but in top gear at highway speed, it literally ticks over at 2,500 RPM. So we're doing 80 kilometers an hour there now, and it's just 2,000, so it's really got some long legs. Yeah, we've got to keep an eye out for some stray animals and maybe even some kangaroos. It's only 7:21 in the morning, and they take a little while to lie down for the day. And that's pretty much me, that speed, so I'm going to set the cruise and just enjoy it. Oh, these roads are so much better than yesterday. Yeah, yesterday is the main artery that connects Kalgoorlie, Coolgardie and the goldfields with Perth, and there's a lot of heavy equipment that utilises that road. A lot of heavy loads on that road, so it had the effect of causing really deep ruts, wheel ruts, which were also in some places corrugated and very unpredictable. So it was a combination of riding in the middle of the road, which also has its hazards. There tends to be debris in the middle of the road where the wheels aren't travelling. And I do like to use all of the road. I don't like to stay in any one particular spot. And what was interesting about yesterday was the first half of the day was, let's say, a little bit moderately painful. What tends to happen as you're riding into the wind in an unfaired bike is the wind is trying to peel your legs off the tank, the fuel tank. So as you're riding, you are gripping the bike with your legs, but the wind gets in there and it tends to want to splay you out, and that gives you really good groin fatigue. But as the day wore on, I worked out novel ways to stretch, and I just ended up moving around on the bike a whole lot more. You know, stretching my back out, shoulders and upper body, and I also perfected a bit of a crouching tiger posture on the bike, where I was able to hunker down and get my helmet down low and use my elbows to grip my legs to the sides of the tank. So it's a really deep crunch. But today, feeling good. We'll see you at the next stop. Okay, sit rep, we've arrived at Caledonia and just got some fuel. It's about, I think it's about 150 to the next fuel stop. Hey, 160. Getting very comfortable with fuel consumption. I started the trip a bit anxious that I wouldn't have the range that I needed, but it's proven to be very good. Cloudy, overcast, about 18 degrees. Not as windy as the forecast had predicted, which is great. Just cruising along. Catch you at the next place. This is fairly interesting. The national highway here is dual purpose in this section. So the Royal Flying Doctor Service can use this as an emergency airstrip into the suburb. Cool. Okay, here we are at the start of 90 Mile Straight. I'm going to film the entire 146.6 kilometres. We'll work out how we're going to translate that into something viewable later, but noteworthy. It's pretty straight. Let's go. Actually, I'll just take a photo as well. Stand by. Right, off we go. Set the cruise there. Going a little bit fast, we'll just drop it back to about 95. The winds have picked up a little bit. And we're here for comfort, not for speed. In fairness, the roads have been pretty straight leading up to this point anyway. Maybe not 146.6 kilometres long, but yeah, there were some that were 20 kilometres, 30 kilometres. And as you can see, the roads aren't busy at the moment here either. They haven't been actually for the last day and a half. Certainly not traffic going from west to east. There has been quite a convoy of heavy haulage, so trucks coming from the east to the west. So what can I say about this bike? I might take the opportunity to, give a bit more of a summary, a bit more of a review. Now that I've been on it for 10 hours, no 10 hours, about 13 hours. So I think this is a case of, because the bike had such low kilometres on it, it only had 1500 kilometres at the start of this trip. So in the 18 months I've owned it, I've done very little riding around due to work commitments and COVID and everything else. The fuel consumption was significantly higher at the start of the trip, and over the course of the trip so far, it's just getting better and better. So I would assume it wasn't completely run in, and now we're getting somewhere close to being run in. A lot of the reports and reviews I had seen on YouTube or read pegged the consumption really quite high. In the 7.5, even 8. Warning you not to plan trips of more than 200 kilometres or 220. But in reality, real world, now that the bike's run in, I'm comfortable up around the 280 to 300 mark. For example, at the last stop at Balladonia, it only used 9 litres for almost 200 kilometres. So you could argue you might get 400 kilometres, but I wouldn't push it. Now, in terms of comfort, the Rocket 3R has centre foot pegs, whereas the GT has more forward foot pegs. I actually prefer the centre pegs. At least on the centre pegs I can stand up if I need to as I'm riding along, and I have done that a few times. It's a little bit of a stretch, and
to be fully upright and vertical, but at least you can do that, and you can get the pressure off your butt. Cruise control is absolutely brilliant. I don't know how you do this trip without cruise control. A lot of the journey I alternate hands, and as we speak, or as I speak, I've got my throttle hand down, and I've got it kind of holding my leg a bit against the side of the bike. That's where a lot of the muscle fatigue is coming from. Mirrors are brilliant. They don't vibrate at all. Adjustable every which way you need. I've got the tank bag set just right now. I had checked the oil at this morning before I left the campsite, and I had noticed that it looked a little bit low. I went to the first fuel up at Norseman, and I couldn't find the right grade of oil, so I thought I'd risk it to get to Baladonia, and fortunately they did sell the right grade, and it's a very specific grade of Castrol oil. It's a 4T 15W50. So when I checked the oil there, after it had been sitting for about 10 minutes, it looked absolutely adequate. It looked full. So I'm carrying a 1 litre oil bottle in my tank bag now, which is lifted to the height of it, and it's actually a really good height now. I can rest my helmet on the tank bag, and I can put some of my body weight through my chest onto the tank bag, and it's very, very comfortable. Now the seat, I have got a seat mat, an inflatable air cell type, and it's proving very, very good. I was concerned that it might shift around too much. It has got some sort of elasticated tyres, but they are proving to be completely adequate. General vibration. Now I've owned various different bikes, 4 cylinders, twins. This bike is very, very smooth. There's very little vibration coming through the bars, very little, if any, coming through the seat, and it's a very, very comfortable proposition from that perspective. Now what I would say about a longitudinal triple is that because the engine is mounted longitudinally, you do get a torque reaction laterally. That may not seem like much, but you cannot ride the motorcycle with no hands on the bars at highway speed. Not that you want to do that for a period of time, but if you do so, you find your left side going into a roll. Now that also has implications when you take your right hand off your left hand off the handlebar, because your left hand is preventing that roll. The bike tends to want to continue that roll, and it's quite hard to balance it with your right hand. So that would be something that people who haven't ridden a longitudinally mounted engine bike before might come across. However, if you take the right hand off the bar, it's absolutely fine. You don't even notice it. But do it the other way around, which I'm doing now. The bike goes into a slow yaw motion. Sorry, slow roll motion, and a bit of a yaw as well. That's really it. My comfort level over the past 13 hours has steadily been improving. I think as my riding fitness improves. In fact, I'm actually astonished at how quickly how quickly riding fitness builds up. Like at the start of the trip, an hour into it, I think miserable's a bit of a strong word or strong way of saying it, but I was having concerns that if the entire trip was going to be worse than how I was feeling in that first hour, that it was going to be miserable. But fortunately, it wasn't that bad. It's just been getting steadily better, which is fantastic. Well, that's all I'm going to commentate on now. I'll see you guys later on. Well, here we are at Cocklebiddy. This is the back of the roadhouse. Not much to see until around the corner. There's these beauties. Known they were here unless I needed to use the bathroom. These are wedge-tailed eagles. How do you get the scale of them? That's awesome. Well, I've got my fuel. Got 270 to go in that direction. The day's warmed up now to probably about 24 degrees. It was below 20 for most of the trip. Looking forward to getting it done. Well, here we are, arrived in Eucla. End of day 2. Everything went to plan. Staying here at the Eucla Motel, well, the only motel in Eucla. Know how to charge, as you'd expect. 160 a night, but it's quite a little oasis. I'm staying over yonder. Oh look, there's the muster point. It's well advertised. Very beautiful afternoon. Well, that wraps up day 2, unless something unusual happens, as did last time. Back on the road tomorrow.